Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Now, I've been out here travelling around for a while and I've heard rumour of a shipyard out in the Pleiades nebula. Now, that's something that's pretty significant for anyone that travels out this way, as for, well, a couple of years now, it's been rather sparse out here in terms of being able to buy ships. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether or not this is a new shipyard or a new planetary base even, but nonetheless, it's an interesting prospect out here and I'm sure it will help people out. So let's go and take a look, and after all, it is a stunning location, as you can see there. So this base is called Series Tarn and it's in the HR 1185 system. It's not that far away from the Maya system and the Merope system, so that's pretty handy. If you do come here though, there's one thing you've got to watch out for.
Terrain alert. Please climb immediately.
And that is the fact that this is a 4G world. Now, not a massive amount of gravity by any means, but it's significant enough that it's going to cause you some problems, especially if you come here in a larger ship. So this is one of the slower approaches I've had for a very long time to a base. I wasn't keen on damaging my ship. Sometimes on these high G worlds, you only have to touch down fairly gently, and if it's just a little bit too hard, you can take damage. Now, it's not the highest G planet by any means around. There are 9 Gs out there and 13 Gs. I've landed on both of those, and I've heard tell of 16 G planets out there as well. But if you do come here in an Anaconda or Corvette or even a cutter, then do take care. But here we're down without any problem at all, and that's in contrast to how I normally throw myself down on the landing pads here. So just look at that view there. Absolutely stunning location. Very nice to be out here. I suspect that sooner or later things around the Pleiades are going to heat up. It's been escalating around here for well over a year now, with the Imperial forces and the Federal forces keep coming out and arguing about the location, as well as all the alien activity that pretty much constantly pervades the entire area. So here then is a look at the shipyard. There's only a small number of ships here, but nonetheless it's better than nothing. And of course you can always transfer your other ships over here. Now, the price for doing so is a little bit expensive perhaps, but it should be manageable for most people if you've got the larger ships. And the smaller ships, the transfer fees really aren't too high. And it does of course mean that you can get your entire fleet out to the Pleiades if you're so inclined. Now let's have a look at the outfitting screen. There's not too much here in the way of high spec modules, but nonetheless there is a good range of modules. You're going to be able to purchase just about anything that you actually need, albeit maybe not to the spec that you'd actually want. What's certain though is that the infrastructure around the galaxy is improving and changing, and we'll get to that in just a moment. There's asteroid bases as well cropping up all over the place, and indeed that's one location I was heading towards when I come across something rather interesting. Now, one of the asteroid bases I hadn't yet visited was the one just outside the California nebula, and en route to the California nebula I decided to stop off at another planetary base. This one is the Mahon Research Center, and right nearby it turned out to be something rather unexpected, a field of alien organics. We've seen this type of thing crop up from time to time. There was the so-called brain trees a little while back, but rarely have they been located so near to a human outpost. Now, do keep in mind what you're about to see could be considered a spoiler, so stop now if you don't want to see it. The system here is HIP 18077. You won't need planetary coordinates because, as I said, this is located right nearby the planetary base. So let's have a look what it's all about. From a distance, it could almost be mistaken as a large scattering of rocks, but as soon as you get up close, you can see they are organic in nature. In fact, they look not too unlike giant space pumpkins. The question then was whether or not these things were interactable. So, getting in the SRV, it was time to head on out into this rather alien-looking field. It's been a very long time since I've visited the California nebula. In fact, so long that the last time I visited, there were no bases outside inhabited space. But at last, now you can travel a few thousand light years outside of inhabited space, and chances are you'll never be too far away from either a planetary base or a space station of some type. So I guess we'll have to wait and see as to whether or not some of those locations also end up with alien organics surrounding them. Now, when both in the ship as well as in the SRV, these things do not show up on the Contacts tab, so they are certainly entirely a mystery. So nonetheless, whilst we certainly don't know what these things are at all, they do, some of them at least, have growths of types on them, and these can be destroyed and you can collect them, and we should come across those in just a minute. Now unfortunately, these little additions, these little attachments, cannot be scanned, but like I say, they can be shot. Let's jump into the turret and we can have a look at that. Of course, I did try to scan them first. My first course of action is not usually to shoot things. You never know what sort of information some things could reveal. Unfortunately, it didn't reveal anything at all. But shooting it did cause it to drop off, although I did get a fine for doing that. That caused me to hesitate a moment as to whether or not I would actually want to shoot it, but I did go and do it. Now, there was no damage at all taken to the large organic structure, but the thing here that dropped to the floor, I could pick up. As with other such elements often found in space in these types of locations, these items classify as materials. And I'm fairly sure if you spent the time driving around this huge field, you could find yourself quite a huge number of resources. Next up then was to get a bit of multi-crew going. I thought that someone might appreciate actually seeing this, and before too long a Commander Kander showed up. So my plan at this point was to continue on my journey and head towards the California Nebula, which was now only a few jumps away. Now at this point, multi-crew turned out to be fairly stable for me, although Commander Kander here was the third crew member to join the ship. The other two, unfortunately, did get various disconnects. But after that, we flew together for quite a while without any problems whatsoever. So the California Nebula is a fair distance away from inhabited space. You'll need a ship with a good jump range to get there. That said, it is accessible from a ship with a relatively low jump range. It just means it will take you a bit longer to actually get there. So here's my co-pilot, Commander Kander, and he's situated in the little cabin below my main cabin. It's a seat that's remained unoccupied for a good number of years now, so it's nice to see someone finally in there, although he did comment on just how small that little cabin actually felt. Now, we didn't spend too long within the California Nebula, just enough to have a look at a few planets. We saw an ammonia world there, but the main destination was to get to the asteroid base, which is just situated on the other side of the California Nebula, and you can see the system name right here. Now, dropping in was a little bit of a strange experience because as soon as we got there, we got a bit of a message. No idea what that was about because obviously the shields are not offline, but it did induce a few moments of wonder as to what was going on. But here we are, the asteroid base. Now, there are plenty of these dotted throughout the galaxy. I think there's something in the region of 35 of them. At the moment, most of their locations remain a mystery, but there is one in the T Tauri system, there's the one right there near the California Nebula, and I know there is another in the NGC 7822 sector. Now, exploration with multi-crew turns out to be quite a boon, because it means you can easily see areas of the galaxy you might not otherwise see. I joined an exploration multi-crew and found myself well below the galactic plane. Here, I joined Commander Captain Spark, as well as Commander Smokey. Now, exploration is generally a bit of a lonely affair. You're out there well away from any other humans, any other contacts, and you can spend many hours just flying alone. So the ability now to either join another crew or simply have someone come aboard your ship is a good one indeed. As I've mentioned before, it is a big disappointment to me that crew members don't have any activities to do, especially when they're out on exploration and things like that. But nonetheless, this is a good step and it does make a difference to the experience of the game. So if you want to see areas of the galaxy you've never seen before, do head on out and join a multi-crew exploration ship. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.